Bleep bloop. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and in this episode we sit down with Anastasia Synn, who is part cyborg. She is a biohacker and using it for good, and by good I mean magic. In this episode we find out all about what that is, what that means, and how you can use biohacking for magic, and really how this is an interesting industry. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, she has 26 different implants in her body, like magnets and computers and little machines that do interesting things for magic and just for life. And this is a really interesting new industry that I knew nothing about. And it was incredible to talk to a pioneer and to just think a little bit about the possibilities that exist with implants and biohacking. So if that is new to you, if you are a little bit grossed out or a little bit interested, regardless, this episode is going to blow your mind. Here it is with the one and only Anastasia Synn. Hello everybody and welcome to Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins and we are here with Anastasia. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm super excited to dig into the world of magic and biohacking and implants and kind of like this whole new world that, to be honest, I did not know much about, and I've been doing a lot of research, and now I'm trying to figure out if I were to get an implant, what it would be. Not that I would, but it is very interesting, and I see it in the future, and I'm very excited. So really excited to dive into this. Let's start, I guess, at the beginning, magic-wise. How did you get into magic?
Oh, my. Well, let's see. I was living in Toronto. I was a mom working as a bartender at a go-kart racetrack, and I watched Chris Angel Mind Freak on TV, and I am not ashamed to say that. And his stuff blew me away, and I ran over to Morrissey Magic, so I lived in Toronto at the time, and I dropped all the extra cash that I had on everything. I'm like, Dan, show me what you got. Like, I just want to see everything that I should be doing as a beginner. And I ended up with cavorting coins and hot rod and all the typical stuff that you start out with. And very quickly, I got very sick of that stuff. Behind a bar, I noticed that when I dropped a toonie through a beer bottle, the reactions were much more like, oh my God. So I thought, what can I do that's more visceral? And they said, have you tried needle through arm? Have you tried this? And I'm like, no, what's that? And then I saw needle through arm, and that's what did it. Needle through arm is what completely sold me on a different path of wanting to scare and freak people out with magic. And I just never looked back.
Are you like a lover of horror and creepy things like that? Or you kind of just fell into it through that being the kind of your favorite way to perform magic?
No, I'm a total horror freak.
Yeah,
I have a complete collection. Yeah, my bedroom looks like most people are afraid to go in there, and with good reason. I mean, I have a real human heart.
Oh, no.
I have a lot of really creepy collectibles, and I take everything out of the boxes. I don't leave them in the boxes. I'm not that kind of a collector. I like to play with my toys. So
play with your human heart. That's good. That one's out and about.
Of course. It's fabulous.
That's terrifying.
It is. Actually, I let people lick it, because how many times are you going to... Yes. How many times are you going to get to lick a human heart?
Hopefully
so that's something
none.
I always offer. Well, if you come to my house, I can guarantee that you can.
Well, that's horrifying. So tell me a little bit about that. You know, I'm sure at the time, I mean, was there anyone else doing really creepy kind of magic, that sort of thing in the Toronto scene at that point?
In Toronto? Yeah. I mean, do you know Carnival Diablo and Scott McClelland? Up in Toronto, he was doing like a paranormal kind of show, and at the time that I was getting involved with Friday Night Magic and Abracadabra, like back in those days, he was around. Other than that, not really. I mean, I knew of Dan Sperry, I knew of David Blaine, I knew of Chris Angel, but other than that, not that I really remember. Oh, Mysterion was doing some weird stuff.
Well, that's
too,
who I thought of when you said a human heart in my room. I mean, he's the only guy who.
Right. I don't even know. Sorry, Chris. Yeah. He was the king of creepy and toy collecting, and he was my neighbor. Like, he lived downstairs from me for 2 years, so he was like a little brother to me.
So let's talk a little bit more about the biohacking thing. Let's get into it. One of the things I'm really excited about is you use biohacking to accomplish magic tricks.
Yeah, I still do. Like, I'm a gimmick lover, so I am a collector of all gimmicks. And so I basically see my body as a gimmickable device. I can basically gimmick it out, and I can make a lot of existing tricks work. Plus I'm developing things that haven't been done before that are going to look pretty awesome when they're complete. I mean, some things are a much more difficult process than others. For the most part, the magnets are a hell of a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like you get pretty close to real magic. I was learning about some of the things that you can do. What's one of the things that you could do right now with it? What's a trick that you could do with some sort of implant that you have?
Well, for example, Magic Live just happened, and Marcus Eddy put out Catch, I believe that's Marcus's, and it's this great little thing that you can show both sides of your hands empty, and you can just do a catching motion in the air and catch a coin. I can do that, but I can't show both sides of my hand empty, but I can hold my hand wide open so you would never believe that I was palming a coin and do the exact same thing, like point to the air, throw up and catch it. So I have two magnets on the base of grab anything, just like another little set of hands, which those are probably the most useful to me. But the ones in my hands are excellent for any kind of coin manipulation, any kind of shim manipulation, like anything that you have metal in that you can hold up, they work great for.
I saw a video somewhere of you doing a vanish of a coin in someone else's hand, which was pretty crazy.
Actually, that was Nicholas Lawrence and Patrick Kuhn at Magic Live. They vanished a coin in my arm. That's actually my giant magnet implant that they were playing with. And then I followed it up by vanishing a matchbox into my friend Bird's arm, because she's got a little computer embedded in her arm, because I hang out with some pretty crazy people.
I was talking about an actual coin vanish that you did somewhere else, but that was also,
really?
But that was also a really crazy video. And it was kind of funny. I wanted to bring it up, like, that video kind of popped up everywhere, and it went viral on TikTok.
I know. I didn't even have TikTok until this happened, and then I got it.
Isn't that crazy? Like a whole
it's
world.
Like 16 million plus. I could not believe it. And the comments were hilarious. Everyone was just like, I think it's pretty obvious how it was done, so much so that it was almost a joke. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people just got really adamant
people
about
said crazy
it.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this crossover between biohacking and magic, because one of the things I heard you mention on, I think, Banachek's Brains podcast was you were talking about the ability to feel where an object is on a table without touching it, know it via sensing it or the magnetic waves or something like that. Can you tell me, Can you explain what that means? Like how you can sense objects with your fingertips?
Well, that specifically is a device called the bottle nose. It was developed by my friends over at Grindhouse Wetware, and they were selling this device. It's an Arduino sensor that you would basically have to wear under, like behind your wrist. So you have a device that's like a wristwatch, and your sleeve is covering it. But with your eyes blindfolded, you'll be able to use the sensor that is shooting out from underneath your wrist, and it'll analyze everything on the table and vibrate the magnet in your finger different frequencies. So the closer you get to the bigger object, higher frequency, more vibration. So that's how that works. It needs a wrist device. Unfortunately, we're not at the point where you could put a sensor inside your body that would work outside your skin for that, unless it was magnetic. But I have a lot of friends that are working on stuff like that. So there's those of us who are really technological in our abilities, and those of us who are just crazy and willing to be the guinea pigs. Right. And I sort of fall into the latter. And then coming at them with all these magic ideas, they had never had a magician in their fold before, of like biohackers. And all of a sudden I'm like, you guys are doing these little magnets and you're sick of your stupid little finger magnets. Well, how about we make them bigger and we start using them for this and that? Right. Did you know that those control motors? Did you know those can control reed switches if you make them more powerful? And all of a sudden you're able to completely activate and deactivate machinery, lights, all kinds of things using your magnet implants.
Right. I guess you can open doors and pay for things.
That's microchips. Yeah, that's microchips. But the magnets are literally, they operate motors. The microchips, that's like a whole nother world. You can program those to, like you said, open doors, pay for things, speak out loud through your phone, have a speaker on Bluetooth connected somewhere else in the room. And when a chip is scanned, someone hears something behind them. There's ways you can make it work in haunted houses, ways you can make them work for art. The possibilities are endless. And that's pretty much what the lecture I'm developing, or that I did develop for Blackpool, and then it got canceled because Jonathan got sick. It was all about that. I wanted magicians to know what was out there so they could go crazy with it and just create. Because in my opinion, magic has some of the most creative minds in the world. Like, science does too, but magicians are badasses, and think of what they could come up with if they knew that all this stuff was out there to work with.
It's crazy because I think, having a secret implanted magnet or chip that does something is like, I don't know, it's the equivalent of like a permanent stack deck.
Yeah.
It's like actually being able to read minds. Like it's an actual sixth sense.
Oh, completely. As far as sixth sense goes, you can literally make seventh and eighth and ninth senses just based on there's one guy who can't see color, for example, and he has an antenna drilled into his skull, and the camera comes around from the back of his skull, and he's got a camera in front of his forehead, and that analyzes the colors around him, transfers them into vibrations, which he feels in his skull, which he in turn hears as bone conductive sound. So he hears colors. So if you take that kind of science and technology and turn it into how you could translate it into magic tricks and how magicians could to knowledge, I think that you'd come up with some really cool stuff.
That's unbelievable. Like,
let me get you with this one then, because this is the one I'm really excited about. But the computer that we're working on for my leg, which is called Wi-Fi. So it has Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth. And I have this device. It's a neck loop that people wear if they're deaf and they have hearing aids in. And the neck loop vibrates the magnet in the hearing aid, and it's amplified by the battery inside the hearing aid. But I don't have a battery. I do have a magnet implanted inside the tragus of my ear. So when I'm wearing this neck loop hidden in my hairpiece, which I perform in on stage, it can be used as a second sight device where I can hear pretty much any piece of information that I need with whoever I'm on the phone with. Now, I can also use that leg computer. Like, that's just transmitting from my phone. But if I bring that leg computer into it, now anything that I program with an NFC tag describing what that is, whether it be a card deck like the Phoenix decks that Christian put out a couple of years ago where you could scan it with they were all RFID cards. If they were all NFC, I could just run them over my leg. The leg reads it by Wi-Fi. It sends it to my phone, gets read by an app that my friend Alan Rorenson is working on. And that app would send the word Queen of Hearts into my hair, which speaks to my ear. And so in real time, I would wave a card over my leg and hear Queen of Hearts in my head. I can do that with any item. It's a ridiculous way to force a card. Any old school magician's going to be like, girl, and even Johnny Thompson, before he left, I told him about this and he thought it was crazy until he saw that big arm magnet and the steals that I could do with it. And then he was like, okay, maybe you're onto something here. This is kind of neat. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's crazy until it's not, right? Like,
right? Exactly.
It seems like crazy to implant these kind of things. And then we listen and we hear about like what Elon Musk is working on, right?
Elon is my idol. I adore him.
It feels like this might be like a really cool pathway to the future. People are really comfortable using watches and tapping and all this different stuff to pay for things and to unlock doors and like it might be inside our fingers. It might like can you listen to music with just the magnet in your ear?
I can. It's not super high quality, but better than that is I'm getting a full set of cybernetic dentures made from someone up in Canada who I was friends with from years ago who became a denturist. And I have a company out of Hong Kong called Ori, O-R-I-I, and they make a phone conductive finger ring that you can just put your finger in your ear and you can speak on the phone. And when I told them that my magnet gave me the same quality feedback, but I liked how loud the ring was when I bit on it, they told me that they'd be willing to help me make a tooth for my denture set. So not only will I have a USB tooth, and ideally, forget about flashing thumb tips, dude. How much of a distraction is a woman smiling and winking at you and her tooth flashes at you just like a cartoon character? So I know it sounds crazy, but I want that.
That sounds bonkers.
Doesn't it? But it's possible.
My goodness.
It's completely possible with what we deal with. And the best part is the battery tooth. There can be one tooth that's the battery. And at night, I pull that out, put it on the charger, and pop it back in my mouth after. It's much easier than an implant. And I can make my head a human radio if I turn it up louder. There's just so many possibilities. I mean, it'd be great to be able, if you're not good at hiding your lips moving when you're trying to cue an audience member on stage, you just open your mouth and the sound comes out.
Is there any advancement that you would say no to?
I get asked this a lot. Like, at what point, I'm willing to cut off any limb for any kind of upgraded limb.
Really?
Like, please understand. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would totally give you my left arm if you told me you could give me a more badass arm.
With the full knowledge that you're like a pioneer in this industry, so like it's not going to be a fully amazing better
exactly,
arm.
Right? I have friends that do have cybernetic arms, and they say the same thing. They're like, girl, you do not want this arm yet.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
You want your old arm back. Like, I have a friend who's a drummer. He's the fastest drummer in the world. His name's Jason, and it's because he's got this badass robotic arm that they made where he could like do 2 sticks or 3 sticks on one hand and just... I think his arm's pretty badass in that it's given him that ability. But you can't do a lot of other stuff. So
That's crazy. Something a little bit unrelated, but it's just kind of interesting that I thought about a lot, and this is what makes it cool. This is like sort of an overlapped area, but do you know about that surgery that pitchers get?
oh no, I didn't. Please tell.
So this is so crazy. So baseball pitchers, I have to find the name of the surgery. I have to look it up. But baseball pitchers, like almost all of them get this surgery where they replace something in their arm because they pull that muscle out in their arm and they replace it with something else. And if you're drafting a pitcher for your team, you might not draft someone who hasn't yet had that surgery and replaced it with like a fake part
That's how it begins, dude. That's how it begins.
Yeah.
I'm part of like William Gibson world where I want everybody to upgrade. I don't really care if the rich are leading the way. I do have the group of people that I hang around with who are not the rich, and they're the people that are basically sharing the information and everything that they've developed and learned with each other to advance their own knowledge of technology so that they can keep up. I don't know if you've ever seen Johnny Mnemonic. Please go watch that movie, but that's pretty much the dystopian future of my dreams, where there's a Henry Rollins character named Spider, and he's upgrading people in his crazy ass looking lab, and Ice-T's guarding it outside. And it's just super badass, and everyone can get upgrades, even if you're not the super duper rich Elon Musk types. And you think as soon as Neuralink becomes live that there aren't going to be people that have their own Neuralinks and their own, it's even before then, I'm sure that there's going to be a version of Neuralink out there that we can actually get our friends to put in. And when I say our friends, I mean the people I know.
Your friends, your friends.
Yeah, my friends.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to know the people I know. I've got people that do surgeries for me. So, yeah.
It's crazy, but I have to tell you, with everything that I've been learning, it feels like it's coming. And it really does feel like a turning point, or people are taking this into their own hands at all levels. And yeah, I know. And I was just reminded of that baseball surgery I looked it up, it's called Tommy John surgery. And it's really interesting. People replacing parts to become stronger or better or smarter. Or
doesn't that make sense? I mean, why
of
would
course.
If we have the technology, why would you not upgrade yourself? It just seems like a no-brainer. And one of the biggest anti-upgrade arguments is religion. And I am a hardcore atheist, so that's very frustrating for me. Because for me, I don't believe in heaven, but I do believe in the solace that I can get from knowing that maybe one day I could upload my brain into some kind of construct, not live the same way I do now, but live in some way, live on. That's way better than rotting in the ground and going to the imaginary place in the sky. In my book, that's just my thoughts, So I find peace in it.
Do you think it's possible?
Oh, 100%. We've already realized that the brain fires on neurons that we can actually interface with man-made electronics. And that is a huge stepping stone. Once you can do that, if you can get information back and forth, like DARPA, the government agency, has already been working on Alzheimer's patient implants so that they can actually have like a memory chip, so they can have stored memory. We're there. I mean, once you make little discoveries like this, it isn't long before things explode. I mean, how long was it before we found digital cameras till every cell phone had a digital camera? It does not take long.
Wow, it's crazy. And I also wonder, like, what this conversation is going to look like 10 years from now. Like, is my discomfort with it going to feel weird in a decade? Or is this going to be something that very few people engage in terms of the world of magic? What could a magician theoretically or practically do right now that if he kept that secret could really, blow some minds?
I think, I think the hidden hearing is excellent, really easy to do. And it's a very simple surgery that most body modification shops would probably do. So that one's pretty killer. I personally, being able to keep my hands wide open or using my arm as a vanish when I'm in a strapless dress. The microchip implants are pretty cool because you can use them to open lock boxes. So if you wanted to do any of those key and glass tricks where the box opens at your command.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? You can program it to do that. I'm working on another fooler for magicians, where I'm just pinned in an X to the wall with 4 padlocks, but my feet get out first while my hands are still proven locked. And the problem with that is that I'm using NFC unlocks, and the locks themselves are very, very finicky because they're very fresh and very new technology. And I'm giving it another year before they really improve to where I need them to be. But they're also making an audible beep when you unlock them, which kind of gives away everything that you're doing.
Right. Dead
right? Yeah,
giveaway.
I would like to see a magic company come out and start building things that are specifically for chip implants. I don't know if that's like where I'm going to go with my ideas. I'd love to see someone else do that. I mean, build locks that actually read with the glass implant chips that are really easy to get instead of the flat flex chips that are harder to get, and most people are a little more squeamish about a scalpel cutting them to put an implant in, whereas those little implants on syringes, most people are okay with it. It's a quick little boop. It's the size of a grain of rice. It's a small commitment. I have 26, and 15 of them are microchips like that, and the rest of them are magnets. And then I'm getting a bunch more within the month, like LEDs and hopefully this little demo computer. We'll see how it works out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's so, everything you say about it blows my mind, because I just keep thinking about, like, I don't know, you have a smart home and you're a half Android, half person, like, you can do crazy things, like you can.
My friend had a computer that actually read his temperature. He implanted it for 6 months, and then he had it integrated with his home. So if he got cold, the heat would turn up in his house.
No way.
So there are people, there's people
that's
thinking
crazy.
outside the box this way, right? So that's the complete perfect integration. That was Tim Cannon from Grindhouse Sweatwear. So he was like the first dude to take a giant ass computer and like stick it under his skin, and it freaked him out.
What does it mean to be a grinder? Is that what it's called? What does that mean?
ER, not grinder with a 1R, but a grinder is someone who, right? It's someone who basically upgrades themselves with the knowledge that they have. And that knowledge can be whatever we figured out amongst our peers, whatever we can find out online. And like through trial and error, my friends have found all kinds of different coatings, not just your typical medical grade silicone coating, because as a person like us just walking around, we can't just walk up to a company and say, hey, coat this. They don't want to do it. They don't want to be responsible. So we had to figure out all of our own kind of deal. And I trust them enough to test some coatings. I'm really happy with the one that I'm using now. And I got the data sheet on the product. I know exactly what's inside my body. I don't make any stupid decisions. A lot of people think that what I'm doing is stupid already, but like I'm telling you, I get my livers and kidneys checked. I've had these implants in for a long time now, no problems. I mean, the big one on my arm, I've got some tissue and muscle erosion. Of course I'm going to. I mean, it's settling into my body and becoming part of me. That's what we want. We want things to just integrate. So yeah, I think honestly, I like being a guinea pig. Everyone sort of contributes what they can. And by testing all these larger implants, I'm contributing to the knowledge base. And by seeing how I can use it in magic tricks, I'm helping them. A couple of them are even developing tricks that they want to like sell to the magic community. And they're not even magicians. So it's just fun working with them and seeing their creativity come out. And like I said, there's so many tricks that exist out there that I can use with these implants already. Like everything from like the magic twist gum tricks and the delicious change, anything that's got a magnet in it that's big enough, small enough to get stolen behind my arm.
Can you sense a magnet with your fingers?
Yes.
Really?
I can sense if someone's holding a magnet ball in their hand, I can sense it with my hand on its own.
From how far away?
The one on my arm, I can sense it probably within 4 inches. In my hand, if they had it inside their hand and I put my whole hand on their fist closed, I could tell. But that's because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 7 magnets in the left hand. And like I can feel electromagnetic waves more than anyone with just one in their fingertip. Like so I can feel the leaks outside my microwave when it's going. My whole hand vibrates. Or if I go up to a breaker box to switch it off, like huge vibrations.
What happens when you use your phone? Everything normal?
Phone's fine. When I drive up to an ATM, the newer style ones that have the green light up LED ring around where your card goes in, they really send off a crazy vibration. Like they're really, really, really strong. I don't demagnetize credit cards or bank cards. They're not strong enough to do that. They do, however, without a doubt, always demagnetize hotel keys. So that's a pain in the ass. But you can program your hotel key to your chip. Now they're getting a little more complicated. So like you kind of almost have to be a hacker to do it and have a device called the Proxmark 3, and it's a pain in the ass.
Wow. I feel like the future is here.
It is. Oh, dude, it's totally here.
I really like what you're saying about being a guinea pig and a pioneer and taking some of these risks. What is a transhumanist?
Well, a transhumanist is someone who wants to become more than human. So wants to sort of transcend what they are as a human and become usually someone more cybernetic or someone who wants to live forever. It kind of goes both ways. Some people are transhuman who have no interest in putting in implants and becoming cybernetic in any way. And then there's they just want to live forever. in some way, shape, or form. Like, they think that death is a disease, and really, I think it is. We should treat it like a disease, and we'd actually probably live longer, but that's essentially what it is. There's a transhumanist political party as well, and so many views inside that political party that it's something I try and stay away from, because I think some of them are crazy. I don't want to be associated with it. But I kind of got tangled up in that. This is like a side note, but I had to go to like Carson City, Nevada, and speak on behalf of transhumanists and cyborgs, because they were trying to make it illegal in Nevada to have microchip implants. And I was the only person who showed up at this 8 a.m. thing here in Vegas first, and had to listen to 5 people go on and on and on about how bad microchips were and how nobody has them yet. We need to get ahead of them. And I came on and went, "Hi, I'm Anastasia, and I have like 21 implants, and I use them in magic." And
why
it was great.
Why would somebody want to ban them if they think that nobody's using them?
Exactly. I truly, truly believe that this particular senator, his name was Skip Daly, was religiously fearful of the microchips. And it wasn't just him, but the people that were there supporting him that had this idea that you could be tracked with them. And there's that mark of the beast stuff, dude. I'm telling you, that's like the majority of people. Actually, not the majority. It's like it's a 3-way split. So you've got people, when it comes to the implants, you've got the mark of the beast. You've got the ones that think that you can be tracked in the NSA, conspiracy theorists. And then you've got the people that think that they've been implanted against their will. And it's sad, because they're the schizophrenics. They're convinced that they're hearing voices, and it's because of a chip inside their head. The chip sees and knows everything that they do, and it talks to them. That is schizophrenia. You need to see a doctor. But they're all over the microchip pages, all over Facebook, and looking for people's help. And that's what everyone tells them is, go see a doctor, but not like the kind that you think. Not the implant removal doctor.
Wow, this is a crazy, kind of blowing my mind.
Good, that's a good thing.
Is this kind of like your magic trick, just like showing people that this is?
I know, right? It's actually starting to be that way, dude, because like I'm so, with Jonathan's being retired and my daughter going to school, and I do shows myself for fun over at Brookledge or at Booby Trap out in LA or Wonderground, but honestly, my desire to perform is becoming less and less, and I enjoy talking to people, sharing ideas, and developing things a lot more than I enjoy being on the stage. And that's not to say that I don't get great ideas still. I'm like, damn it, I want to do that at this show. I'm going to do that. But for the most part, lecturing, talking at these biohacking conferences, and just sort of spreading the message and seeing how many amazing minds that I can meet in science and creativity is way more important to me, or at least it's becoming so.
Yeah, I mean, well, it feels like you're on the forefront of an industry, so it kind of, I imagine, feels more exciting because everyone you talk to is doing something slightly different and also kind of moving the needle a little bit in the world of biohacking. So that is very cool.
Exactly. I actually missed an event last month, dude, and like all my friends that made it to the event left with like new computers and devices inside the bodies, and I'm like, what? Did I get all this about me? Oh my God. So like, yeah, I got cool friends that are always doing weird stuff, and it's amazing to see what they're up to. And then we always try and one-up each other, which makes everything develop much better and much faster.
So I'm always worried about people in the fields of doing anything mild or moderately dangerous in the world of do not try this at home. And the reason is because I think that a whole bunch of magicians gathering around for a magic podcast to listen to the pioneers of the industry are kind of like the most likely people to try this at home. So what's
yes, they are.
yeah. So I do kind of think I have to ask, like, if someone is listening to this and they're like, fuck yeah, I want chips in my body and magnets in my fingers and everything like that. Like, is it legal? What do they do? What don't they do? What's safe? Like, how, are they being a little bit risky for doing it? Or do you think, small steps, it's all safe?
Well, in my personal opinion, if you're going the traditional route and getting a magnet from one of the originator guys, like Steve Hayworth, who made them coated in silicone, or Sampavan Cyborg, who made them coated, I think maybe in a paraline. He came out of Germany with his. These magnets are nice and safe. People have had them for years. They haven't been having problems with them. I haven't heard of any problems. If you're going to go that route, I personally think you're perfectly safe. There's a company called Dangerous Things run by a guy named Amal, and he is sort of the pioneer as far as the microchip guys go.
The company is called Dangerous Things.
It is. Go to dangerousthings.com. I'm giving you a little plug there, Mal. And he sells a lot of really high quality, high tested products. So he looked at the microchips that were already out there. He didn't like some things about them for whatever reason, you know, maybe they break easily, or maybe some of them had lead left over in them or whatever. And he found his own manufacturing company. He tests everything and he releases his chips. And he has like probably about 5 or 6 different kinds of chips, and he even has a new injectable magnet. But that's all biosafe glass. He stands behind everything he sells. I believe everything he sells is high quality. It's just expensive. So if you have the ability, you know, you could buy a chip from him for like anywhere from like $100 to $200. And then you got to pay an implanter, unless you're brave enough to do it yourself, which I think everyone should be, about $200 to put that in for you. And so it's actually so expensive. Whereas I get my chips for dirt cheap. I've tested them for lead, both the assembly that injects them and the device itself. I get them originally, like all these things, as far as I'm aware, all come from China, but I've tested all mine. I give them to people. So if someone's interested in getting a chip and I'm at a magic convention, I talk to them and they're like, man, it sounds amazing. I really want one of these. I just give them one because honestly, it costs me next to nothing to get them. They're in sterilized packages. And you can just go on YouTube University and teach yourself how to do it. It's really easy. It takes 2 seconds. I've also chipped people who want them, but just telling them, like, you can do it yourself, or I can pinch your skin to help you or whatever. I've helped people. You know, I'm like, don't sue me if something goes wrong, but I'm not. I have 16 of them myself, and only 3 of them are from Dangerous Things. The rest of them all came from the same people that I give my chips to. And, you know, I've tested several throughout the batch. So what they can do, getting into that part, as far as are they safe? Yes, I think the cheap ones are safe, and I think the ones from Dangerous Things are safe. But if you're really freaked out, buy the expensive one at Dangerous Things, get a guy to install it, go the really expensive route. If you're more like me and you're not, you could literally get one and install it for less than $5.
If someone did the most basic thing, they bought one and they installed it, what's something that they could do, a small win they could do once they implanted a chip in themselves?
If you have an iPhone 10 or higher, you can use these NFC chips the same way an Android does. But with an Android phone, you download a program called NFC Tools Pro. I think it's like $2. And with it, you can write to your chip. You don't ever want to put a password lock on it because unless you're a hacker, you're not going to get that off. But you can make your chip talk. You can make it dial a phone number, open your website, play a video when you were on Fool Us. You can make it do a zillion different things and multiple things. So like my chip on my left hand in between my thumb and my pointy finger is programmed to open the Samsung door lock in our house. Plus it speaks out loud things talking about me as a biohacker. Plus it opens up a video showing my testimony when I had to do that Nevada State Senate thing.
That's How does it open the video?
You have to use your phone. So like, you know how your phone has an NFC reader built into it?
Oh, you just like touch it to your phone?
Exactly. You touch your hand with your phone and your phone will activate all these commands. And you can program each chip to do different things. And you can do it on the fly. Like I can have it out loud say, you pick the 3 of clubs. Or reveal any piece of information that I need to reveal digitally. My friend uses it to pick up chicks at the bar, and he has some good luck with it. There's a woman out in, I want to say Sweden, but I could be wrong, but she put like 40 of these chips all down the side of her body and wrote poetry. So she stood there naked and people had to scan her with their phones, and it spoke the poetry out loud. So it's being used in art, it's being used in magic. And these chips are not capable of tracking you. So anyone who's worried that it's Mark of the Beast, it's going to track you, not possible. They're so freaking basic. They can make these little commands and that's about it. And they work with your phone. You need to literally touch where the chip is and the right clockwise direction. It's a very directional read because it's a passive chip. It's just leeching the battery off your phone for a moment just to get the information and transfer it over. You can't do that from a satellite. So chill, people. No tracking.
Whoa, it's crazy.
The Samsung door locks, those are the best. You get them on Amazon for $100. You can just program them in your hand. Like literally, you can program them in 2 seconds to work with your chip. And boom, now you've got a really cool way to get in your house to impress your date.
There's a ton of crazy things that you could do. Now I'm blown away, especially if you hide little like Arduinos or whatever, like you can you can have your house do anything when you touch anywhere. Like you can.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy.
I know. And you can actually get like ready built locks and secret safes all over Amazon that work with these chips, and you can program them really easily. So you can have your secret door lock and your gun safe and whatever you want. Just only works with you. My friend Amal is actually making chips that work with guns. So your gun will only work with your hand. So, that's the potential for this stuff's pretty awesome.
Wow, this is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm really excited by this, and even if I'm not going to put any chips in my body, which
Oh, you will one day.
you know what,
Okay.
I hope you're right. I hope I will one day because it's so normal and it's such
That's
an
exactly what I'm hoping
obvious
for.
and it's such an obvious thing. How different is putting a chip in your ear than having a hearing aid? Like, how different is it really? Like, the hearing aid is skin
Exactly.
color. Like, if it didn't come out, like, come on, it's the same now, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
we're just on the line. We're using all sorts of technology already to help better our lives. It's crazy, and like we've talked about a few times. It's kind of like an industry that is very new right now. There's all of these conventions and conferences popping up for people that are interested in doing it, and I'm sure minds are being blown by what it is that you and others have already done in this industry, probably like my mind is being blown. Talk to me a little bit more about magic. You said you're still doing lots of performing. I've only seen a few of the acts that you famously do, like the one that you did on Fool Us and the needle through arm, and they both have a freaky feel, but still kind of magic. It reminds me of the David Blaine Real or Magic, which got very popular because people are kind of on the edge of like, is this actually happening? Is this not happening?
Right.
Like, what is going
I
on?
love that line.
Yeah.
And David is like a huge influence of mine, obviously. Obviously. I love how he puts a needle through his arm. I've never seen him do it live until we saw him at the Dolby Theater. And he literally just brings people up and tells them to do it and then puts the camera on their faces. That's kind of my dream, like to be able to just show the audience the reaction.
It's just crazy. He's just doing it, right? Like, I don't.
Just doing it. And he's not even sterilizing things like the way that I stress out about sterilization. He's just like, screw it. Let's just do it. And to me, I just bow down to that. He literally has people sewing needles through his lips, and he's not, like, their fingers could be dirty. Like, I didn't wash them.
Right.
That's like, I'm a girl that way. He's amazing. So yeah, I'm highly influenced by him. As far as the other magic goes, I've always liked stuff that I could do around the bar. So I really like close-up stuff, one-on-one. Right. But the razor blades and some variations of that are what I usually end up doing. And since I've been with Jonathan, I kind of retired the razor blades because he's kind of the king of the razor blades. It's amazing. Jonathan, now that he's retiring and I'm able to pull out my new ideas, I don't want to say the new version I have that I'm going to be doing at Brookledge so I can get on tape. And I'm hoping to be able to do it for Masters of Illusions. I'm friends with Gabe Blackstone. She was mentioning like, hey, I really like what you're doing. I need more. I need like 2 more. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to keep with the brand. So I'm going to do this. And I'm really excited about it. Basically anything that shocks and scares. And I hate working with my words. I like working silently to music. I like the contradiction of music with magic. So I'm also looking at a bubble act that I got from Lysander. I had a few weird ideas of what to do with that. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as far as the acts that I'm developing right now, there's one that I want $40,000 for. So if you know anybody who can loan me $40,000, it's not going to be Jonathan. It's like going to be a really badass act. It's just, it requires a circus skill and a circus prop. And I got to kind of wait on that. It's all very cryptic, I know. I literally am looking around my room and I have like 3 cabinets filled with magic crap that I've bought over the past decade. And all of these things are bought with the intention of putting them in an act. Like literally, I'm like, oh, yes, I could do this. And I know this is like common to many magicians, but I never end up using them. So I've ended up going through all my stuff and pulling everything that works with implants and just concentrating on that instead of more stage acts. I'm also, I don't want to say I'm getting on in years, but I'm 44 and I used to hide that. I used to like take 5 years off my life. But I know how it is. I'm not going to be performing when I'm 50. I'm a chick. Like, I think that I'll probably be more about like the teaching and discovering and sharing that knowledge. And I'm happy to do that. All those young cyborg magicians that are coming up right now. I'll be your mama. I'll help you.
Your robot mama. Bleep,
I'll be
bloop.
the robot mama.
Bleep bloop, honey.
I am Mother. That's such a great movie.
That's awesome. And there's something about that freaky type of magic where it kind of pushes people right to the edge. Like there's some videos I've seen of you doing stuff where people are just screaming and losing their absolute minds.
And that's what I love. One thing that I'm really excited about is these little bracelet linking rings that I got last time I went to the Magic Apple. And I can literally do a linking ring act with magnet implants, hanging them off various parts of my body. So I have this idea to just do linking rings, maybe even the larger ones if I can hold them up, by using your body as a rack as well. So I don't know. I'm going to play with that idea a little bit. Yeah, that might be pretty awesome, actually. Also, a bird production. Like, what if you stood, remember Ursula Martinez with the vanishing thumb tip, red silk, and I ended up pulling it out of her vagina at the very end, and she's standing there completely naked, and Spiegelworld ended up leasing that act from her. But it'd be really cool to do a bird production the same way, but have your magnets be the things holding up the birds in the bags.
Oh my gosh.
I think like a crazy person. I know.
Honestly, it sounds like for somebody,
crazy.
it sounds like you've got like a couple dozen implants in you and still just scratching the surface of what can be done
Exactly.
magic-wise with it. So it's really, really incredible. We sort of hit on it a little bit before, but I'd like to go a little more. If someone is interested in this world of stuff, where should they go? What kind of places? I know you gave us a resource for actually buying some of these implants, but where can someone go to be a fan of this kind of thing?
Probably a good place to start is the biohack.me forum, kind of like, traditional message board deal. And there's a lot of questions being answered there. Pretty much all the top biohacking people are hanging out on those boards and chatting away, so you can really see what's going on in the scene. A lot of people talk on Slack chat, another one of those message board deals. And other than that, Dangerous Things is kind of at the forefront of having, they have some links on their webpage too. But for the most part, that and the Future Grind podcast that Ryan O'Shea puts out, I would check out all that stuff if you're interested, and then just climb on down that rabbit hole, because I guarantee you're going to find all sorts of stuff. Like, there's a guy up in Toronto named Rob Spence who actually has a camera for his fake eye. So, people are just making cool stuff everywhere. And there's a lot of great biohacking coming out of Toronto. I'm proud.
Well,
Proud
it's
of my hometown.
very exciting, very exciting. Local stuff too. It's very, very cool. Before we go, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the magic, or before we get to the wrap-up questions, I wanted to chat about a little bit more about the kind of scary feeling and the freaking people out and things like that. There are a lot of performers that got excited about it kind of around the Chris Angel era, which is what
like
you
me.
said. Yeah, exactly. And people have gone very different ways with it. And as we see magic changing and developing, we see a lot of these things change. Even Chris Angel's magic has changed since the times of his specials. What do you think the longevity is of this kind of freaking people out magic? Do you think it's on the rise? Do you think it's becoming, do you think like David Blaine putting needles in his body is just the beginning? Or do you think that maybe it's...
Well, have you heard of a guy named Miran Dajo? He actually put swords like right through his torso.
Oh, yes, that's
I
have.
Right?
Yes.
So like no one's doing that anymore. And I think that all the fakir stuff probably was a little more extreme back in the day. I could be wrong. I mean, there's people definitely pushing the envelope, not just like super high profile, but like Ryan Stock and Andrew Stanton. Those two guys are always pushing like major envelope as far as like what the body can take. I don't know if the freaking out in this political climate that we are in, if people want to see it so much. We have enough scary crap going on down here as it is with, I mean, seriously, like the guns, the Trump, I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I'm a Canadian girl, and you guys down here, I love you, but you're crazy. You're being crazy. So I just, in this climate now, people don't want to see that stuff as much. And that might be part of my deterrent, and why also I'm leaning more into the comedy aspect of, look how freaky this is. Like, my new Razor Blade act is actually more comedy and makes people uncomfortable, but in a really comical way that makes the rest of the people really comfortable. So I think that everyone kind of has to change things. And I know this is a sidestep, but like the new Dave Chappelle special, he is completely telling stories and analyzing the world that we live in today. And it is a completely different climate, and he's hitting the nail right on the head. Everyone has to change how they do everything. And whether you're a comedian or a magician, you have to cater to what people are feeling. And right now there's so much uncertainty, so much discourse. There's so much discourse, and we just have to like try and bring a little bit of peace. And I don't want to scare the hell out of people. I'd like to make them like laugh with discomfort. I don't want to make them like cry and have nightmares.
Right. And that's kind of part of the whole scary and freaky and sideshow magic thing is like, the point is that it's a performer, and the person doing it is as trained as someone can to do the kind of things that you're seeing, and I hope it's not an invitation to just, hey, go do something dangerous, but instead it's more of a display of what can be done, or that you can be deceived, or that you can be grossed out, by things that are as natural as, or things to that nature. It should be more inspiring.
Like, look what I can do, but honestly, like, if it bothers, it doesn't bother me. See,
right,
I'm smiling. It's
right,
all good.
right.
Don't worry, sweetie. Let me
right.
tickle under
It's
your
the
chin.
smile while you're doing it that makes it okay.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're happy, that's the most important part.
Well, we are nearing the end of the episode, and with that, we have a whole bunch of wrap-up questions. So the first is, what is something in the world of magic that you like, and something in the world of Magic 2019 that you don't like?
In 2019, what I don't like about magic is that so much of it can be found so easily by everybody. So explanations you can watch Fool Us, and on the same search, just ask for it to be revealed, and boom, there's somebody revealing it, like right there on the search results. So that bothers me. I like that people used to have to go to the library, or at least trek their ass to the magic shop to look at a book, use their brain a little bit to get the answer. They'd probably find something else they would learn and find more interesting. Hell, it might have even changed their path. But at the same time, I like that about magic these days, because I think that we're putting out 10 times more magicians than the older days.
There's no barrier of entry.
There's no barrier. Like, I mean, there's so many people that are just killing it on Instagram right now, and they're doing quick little Instagram magic tricks. But to me, the ultimate thing is, can you step it off of Instagram and actually do a little show? Can you even do 10 minutes? Can you hold a stage and have a great personality? And I'm honestly getting pleasantly surprised at the magicians I'm seeing come off of Instagram and do just that.
I love that. The next section is the endless chain. Who is someone that we absolutely must have on this podcast to keep the podcast going on for eternity? Each guest recommends another guest. So who should we absolutely have on this episode, on this podcast?
Oh God, who would we put on here? Lisa Mena. Holy shit. How could I leave out Lisa Mena? Do you know Lisa Mena? A lot of Canadians don't.
Lisa
a lot of
Mena.
Canadians don't.
I don't think I
do. She is literally a giant, like a shoulder magician stand on. She started out doing amazing corporate magic, making tons of money, looking stunning and just kicking ass and being so well spoken. And now what she does is she travels around the world and teaches tribes how to treat women better using magic, how to keep their villages clean using magic. She's been studied by groups that go afterwards, like months later after she talks to tribes, and they literally find that the words that she has taught them have carried through, and she will make the magic words for her tricks to help a woman brings good luck, or do not hit women, or something to that effect. And even if the tribe doesn't have words to describe that type of a sentiment, she makes the leaders of the tribes create those words, and those words remain when she leaves.
Wow.
So she's literally changing women's and other downtrodden people around the world's lives with. Please have her on. She's someone I look up to.
Great recommendation. Killer. The next part of the wrap-up question is the take-home point. So people have been listening to us talk about biohacking and transhumanism and magic and the future, basically, for the last hour. And they're going to think back to this episode and think one thing. What do you hope that one thing is?
Please don't be queasy. The future is not as scary as it seems. I promise.
So awesome. It feels like you're talking to us from the future. Warning us. Yeah, that's what it feels like. You're like, come play with me. It's fun here.
Come play. Yeah, a lot of people are just queased out by it. I mean, honestly, you're just queasy. Who likes to go to the doctor and get needles? Most people don't. I mean, I know I'm not the norm when it comes to that. But, Amla cream, Dr. Numb, all that stuff that they have with the lidocaine, you won't even feel it. You won't even notice it's there. And then once you get to play with your microchip a little bit, you might actually think it's kind of cool. And I promise you it's not the mark of the beast, because there is no beast.
Well, like I said, maybe not ready for it yet, but I do hope for the day that it's a no-brainer, in which case I will put it in my brain, and then it'll be a brainer. The last part is plugs. So where can people go what biohacking conventions or meetups can people go to find you or the world of biohacking, and where can people find you?
Well, this weekend, which is probably past now, I'm doing a thing that will be happening every year in Las Vegas called Biohack the Planet. It's a great collection of really scientific minds. Side, more of the science and home gene editing, which is something we didn't really get into, but there's a whole other group of people that edit their own genes.
Whoa,
so that they
that
can
is
be,
crazy.
yeah, it's a whole other thing. And it's pretty amazing to talk about. The guy who runs that's an ex-NASA scientist. And then there's a biohacking village at DEF CON every year. And that actually starts right after Magic Live. So if you're planning on being in Vegas for Magic Live anyway, they have a really great lock picking village where some of the magicians actually go and work after Magic Live, and there's a whole bunch of great stuff in the biohacking village there. Of course, you can get implants done. You can learn a little bit more about all the different things people are doing with their brains and bodies. And there used to be a great one that just ended that was in Texas, Austin, Texas every year, and that had to get canceled because it just cost more money than it brought in, unfortunately, but that was called Body Hacks. There's a bunch of really big ones out in Sweden. I'm not familiar with what they're called, but if you're out in Europe and you're listening, you've got some great things going on over in Europe. Please get involved and help pump that up.
What is your favorite biohack or gene editing, or what excites you the most, even if it doesn't really exist yet, or what's most exciting for you?
The one that I have my friends working on that I want to put in my wrist, it's about the size of a box of matches, that's an accelerometer. So basically I could be on stage and with my arms draw a picture, like say someone drew a flower and I say, so you drew a picture of a flower,
wicked.
And I draw it in the air and it draws it on a printer backstage and someone throws it behind a chair for me so I can bring it out.
Wicked.
You know, I mean, something simple like that would be so cool. And it'd be great, like, to just be able to use your arm to control your television because it's already in there. Your accelerometer is connected to everything.
Oh, yeah. Accelerometer is great because then you don't have to touch the thing. You can gesture.
Exactly.
Right? Is that right? Am I understanding correctly?
Exactly. Like you can do it. You can connect it to your phone, your television. You can connect it to an app to execute a magic trick. You can.
Would it kind of be like you're casting a magic, like you're doing a magic wand?
Yeah, like a Harry Potter magic wand, but your arm becomes one.
You can stick your finger out
totally
and point it at things and make them turn on by flicking it.
It would be your finger. It would be the entire motion of your hand or your wrist.
Right, the arm or the wrist. Very, very, very exciting. Well, Anastasia, thank you so much. This is incredible. I'm being introduced to a new world, and the next time you see me, I might very well be half a robot. Where can people find you and learn more about you and the stuff that you're up to?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Sia Synn, which is SIASYNN, or my full name, Anastasia Synn. And my website is www.sinister.com. It's SYNNISTER. And I just thought that was a play on everyone being afraid of what I'm doing.
Well, thank you so much. This was an absolute pleasure.
Well, thanks for having me on and helping me spread the word. Hopefully some people go out there and get implants now.
Bleep bloop to us all, and I hope you know what, it would be very, very exciting if someone ends up telling me that they got an implant because of this to help them pull something off. That would be very wicked.
Totally. I do have magicians writing me asking about it like pretty often. You'd be surprised. So it is something people are interested in, especially in your hands. Everyone wants one in their hands. They always say, I've been thinking about that for years. So just go do it, guys. Do it. Get one.
Stop thinking and start doing.
Exactly.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much. What a pleasure. And as always, we will see everyone next Thursday. Peace. Well, there you have it. I hope that you liked the episode, and I hope that you learned something. Please, please, please share it with the world. You know that's the only way that anybody hears about this stuff. And if this episode taught you something, freaked you out, excited you, or anything like that, please share it with the world. As always, anything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, virtual hugs, iTunes reviews, anything to help spread the word. It means the world. And I'll see you Thursday.